there was a coffee shop owner inside his coffee shop, and he noticed this strange guy that he never met before sitting in one of his tables outside. So he went outside to ask him if he want to order something. He said hello. The moment the guy lifted up his head to say hello back to the owner of the coffee shop owner was shocked to see the stranger face. He had one eye, and the second eye was really deeply hollow. There was no eye, but there was a really deep hole in his eye, and he wasn't covering it. It's almost he sees his brain. Probably I'm exaggerating, but that's what the report was saying, that his eye was really hollow and dark, and it was really scary, and it wasn't covered. What is this stranger's story? What happened to him? Let's go and listen to the story. Shall we go? Let's go. Hello guys. So to start our story, I wanted to give you some details so it's help your imagination to draw a picture of how the scene was, how the country is, and that's why I love to tell some details of the stories, and that's why they sound long. Some of you complain, but I think it's good for the story to have, the more details it has, the more your imagination can draw a picture of how the scene is and how the stories unfold. So today's story happened in Iraq, in Baghdad. There was a coffee shop that was in the middle of the city, where it was crowded. A lot of events are going on in the middle of the market. People are passing by, and in the Middle East and the Islamic culture specifically, when somebody commits a crime, they get executed in public in the market. So it's really strange for you guys. Like, I have seen American movies, I have never seen it in real life. God forbid I witness something like that. It's really bad to witness somebody getting executed or punished or whatever. In the Muslim Arabic countries, they do the punishment in public, so everybody learned their lesson. And I think psychologically, I witnessed those, I have seen those cultures, and I lived in them before I moved to America, and it really works. The crime rate is uncomparable in those cultures than in the Western world. Big part of it is that families are connected. Everybody knows everybody in those towns and cities, so feeling shame, the family reputation, the family class will collapse if somebody committed a crime or did something that hurt someone else in the society. The society will expel the person. They'll kick them out, and nobody want to marry them, nobody want to be their friends, nobody want to hang out with them. They are not welcomed in society anymore. So it's big part of the punishment to carry it to public and people witness it. So everybody learned the lesson, and everybody thinks 10 times before they hurt someone else or cross the law or commit any type of a crime, theft or anything. That's why the punishment happened. They witnessed the punishment. So that day, the owner of the coffee shop noticed a strange guy that he never seen before, because as I said, people know each other, and he never met this guy, never seen him before in his coffee shop, was sitting on one of his tables outside. He didn't order anything, so he went outside to him to say hello and ask him if he want to order something, a tea or a coffee, while he was really having a serious face, was when he was moving his leg. When someone is stressed out, they move their leg up and down while they are sitting. Some people use it as a habit, but it's a sign of being nervous or anxious about something. And he was witnessing one of those social punishment outside in the market. People were gathered to see somebody getting executed or punished, but that day it was an execution. The back to the owner of the coffee shop, when he reached the strange guy who was sitting on his tables outside to ask him what he want to order, he was freaked out when the guy lifted up his face and turned to the owner of the coffee shop. When he said hi to him, he noticed that one of his eyes is missing, and it's just missing. There is a really hollow, dark hole in his face, in his eyes, because he wasn't covering it. And he told him nicely, "Do you want to drink something?" He said, "Yeah, of course, I would love to have a coffee." And he went to prepare the coffee for him, but he was so disturbed, and he really was curious what's going on with this guy. What is his story? How did he lose his eye in this way? Why it's deformed like that? So when he gave him the coffee, he started to strike a conversation with him. He was so curious to know what happened to him. And he did ask him, "What happened to your eye? How did you lose it? I'm so sorry for that." The guy with the eye, he told him, "I think you want to have a cup of coffee, because it's going to be a longer story. And I'm going to tell it to you, all of it. So if you want to sit down with me, sit down." So he told him, 3 years ago, I went and I bought a pickup car, a brand new pickup car, and it was really famous back then, the pickup car in Iraq, because you could carry your family in it, you could carry your merchants, and for some reason it was very famous pickup car. In those days in Iraq, everybody was buying it. Was very expensive, so whoever was able to afford it considered lucky. During those days, there was a mysterious disappearance cases was going on, and all of them were of men, and all of them were happening in the same town where this guy with one eye came from, which is one of the suburbs of Baghdad. Baghdad is a massive city, so it has separate suburb areas, and different part of the city, in the middle of the city, around the city, and then in the suburbs outside the city. It is all Baghdad, but each area has its own name. So all these murders were happening in that specific area of Baghdad and some areas around it. And they were all of missing persons who own a brand new pickup car. The police were completely puzzled. What's going on? Why is this happening? So the government planned to have these checkpoints where there are police officers in that city, and they were gathering information and collecting information from all these police stations, police checkpoints, where they stop cars. Whoever have a pickup car, they question them, "Where are you going? When did you buy the car?" But the most important thing in the story is that all the missing persons who own this pickup car, the car wasn't used. It was just got bought, and it was a brand new. That was the common thing between all these missing cases. And there was no bodies, there was no clue, and the police had absolutely no idea what's going on. And those events created panic between people. People stopped buying that car. People stopped going out. The whole town was freaking out of what's going on. And they demanded the police. They start to make riots, like when they go out and protest against something. They start doing that. They would demanded the police to do something, because fathers were missing, and sometimes two people at the same time were missing. Whoever owned these pickup cars, people stopped buying these pickup cars. So it created a mess and panic among people in the town. For some reason, this guy with the missing eye never heard of these incidents. He was completely disconnected from the society. Probably he was busy with his kids or busy with his job, that he never heard of these incidents. So he bought one of these pickup cars. And that's when the story starts. So one day he was just driving, minding his own business in the town, when he passed by one of these police checkup points. The police stopped him, asked him questions, and while they were asking him questions, they asked him a weird question to get in the police car, and they will take him somewhere to question him. He was weirded out, like, why are you asking me somewhere else? You already asked me here. Why do I have to go with you? But people, we're afraid of the police. We listen to what they say. So he thought, yeah, it's the police. Where could they take me? Probably to the police station. I did nothing, and they will release me. I forgot to mention one of these important information, that the police, when they start collecting information from the police stations, they, for some reason, they thought even with the police checkpoints existence, the crimes were still happening, and the police was puzzled what's going on. Even with that, there was no information of anything, no clues about anything, and the missing cases were still happening. The disappearance of these pickup cars were still happening. So the police suggested to the police checkpoints not to question anybody, and just to report anything they see, and the puzzle still didn't get solved until they told them, okay, resume the questioning of anybody who has a pickup car that has the same details like the missing ones. So our friend with the one missing eye, he wasn't missing his eye back then when he got captured by the police and got taken to somewhere, and the whole time they were asking him to sit with his head down and not to look on the street or where he is being taken, and he was just listening to them out of fear. They were like giving him orders, put your head down and don't look on the street. So he didn't know where he was going or where they were taking him. And after probably half an hour of driving, the police drove him way outside the town. It was dark at night, and he saw himself alone with 3 police officers in an abandoned, old, almost demolished house. He got scared a little bit when they told him to be on his knees, and started yelling at him and telling him to be on his knees. And he told him, why am I here? What do you want from me? And they started yelling at him and telling him to do what they are telling him to do and be on his knees. When he was on his knees, he said the last thing that he remembers is a very loud shotgun, very loud noise of a shotgun, and that was the last thing he remembered. So obviously the criminal was the police officers that were in that specific checkpoint. They were taking men who own a brand new pickup cars, take them to abandoned places or faraway places, shooting them and burying them there, or just leaving them there because bodies weren't found. And even if bodies were found, some of them, I don't think their bodies were found. I think they did really good job by hiding the bodies, because if they found the bodies, they will find the shotgun and they will know it's who owned that gun. Anyway, our friend, he was telling his story that he woke up and blood was everywhere. He couldn't walk. He couldn't see anything with the injured eye. He knew he lost his sight in one of his eyes, but he didn't know he got shot. He barely was able to crawl outside that house and reach the main street. And that was the last thing he remembered there. When he woke up from his coma, he was in a coma for a month or 2 or 3 months, which was a really long time, because he was shot in the head. The police officers thought that he was dead when God's plan was bigger than their plans. He was a survivor of their criminal act all this time. There were dozens of people dead. They killed dozens of people. Long story short, the guy said that the the police officers, when they shot him in his face, but it was in a way where the bullet got into his eye and came out of the side of his head, so it didn't cause that much damage, but it put him in a coma until his brain recovered from the accident, and he miraculously remembered the police officers' faces and where everything happened, and told the police. And the police officers got arrested, and that day when he was sitting by the coffee shop, that was the day that those police officers were getting executed. As I said before, a life is for a life, and since they killed those people, none of the families want to forgive them, and they didn't have enough money even to pay back for those who forgave them, so they got executed by hanging, I think, or by a shotgun. And that's the end of the story. Until the next one, take care, and please like and comment, and take care.